and we are live on Facebook and YouTube. So I'm going to share this. And I'm going to give us a countdown right now. Mr. Goodson, how are you doing?
How are you doing?
Doing good. We are live right now, 2 places, Facebook and YouTube, and trying to share it right now with my main page so we can get you all over the place, all right?
Thanks.
All right. Let's see. I always have problems with this at the beginning, like sharing it. Okay, here we go. All right, Mr. Carl Goodson, it's good to see you.
Good to see you.
I actually know your daughter, Carlo, lovely young lady. Is it safe to say that she get that from her dad?
A lot of it now, but she gets a lot from her mother, the structure part.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. A great teacher.
Yes.
Phenomenal teacher. And I'm not bragging because she's my daughter. If she was one of my children, if she was her own teacher, I would have said that, she was phenomenal.
Yes. Carlo probably grinning from ear to ear right about now.
She calls me her first teacher, and I take that as a very high honor. She calls me her first teacher.
Okay. Oh, that's so sweet.
Thanks.
Well, I had the opportunity to speak with you a little bit yesterday, and you seem very passionate about the county of Darlington School District and the kids. We're going to get right into it. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and we may get some questions from the viewers as well, and then I'll turn it over to you. But right now, let's get some questions in right now. So what do you have? And guys, let me say this. Welcome to Tangy Tea of Life. For those of you who are joining us tonight, we have Mr. Carl Goodson with us, and he would like for you to elect him for the Darlington County School Board.
That's correct.
Right?
District 2.
District 2. All right. So, Mr. Goodson, what do you have to offer to the Darlington County School Board of Education?
First of all, Veronica, let me say thank you, because Tangy Tea of Life sounded so great. I actually had my wife to make me a hot cup of tea so I could really get into the mood.
Okay.
So I'm ready. But I thought about some of the questions and anticipated some that you may have asked. And one of those questions is the very question you asked. And I have been probably in education in some form, no matter whether it was to students, to children, or it was adults, all of my life. And I offer the expertise, first of all, of understanding that school is much more a microorganism than just students. Mm-hmm. So you're dealing with the administration. So that means that there's got to be a lot of communication between you and the superintendent. Then on that same train, you have the same people who are just like you, who've been voted in and trusted with the care of making sure that the school districts run right and getting the supplies and everything they need. Then we have our teachers like Carlo and others. And then you have the administrators, the faculty that does the other work, such as the administrators in the office. Then on that same, line, you have people who are in the housekeeping. You have the people that's over the general housekeeping. Then you have the people that's in the kitchen, that's cooking and preparing meals for students. And then you have bus drivers. And I think sometimes when we say school, we have a tendency to just concentrate on the students. But unless you have every part working correctly, then it's not going to work.
Right. Exactly.
So I think I've got that kind of business acumen where I've worked my way up through management. For 34 years, I worked for one company and started out as what they would call a production operator and climbed up into management. And in that management part, I went to several schools, Darlington School of Business, and we had training on site. And it prepared me to do some projects that was over $1 million, and I was in charge of those projects. And so, with me, I think I offer the Darlington County School Board cohesion. I'm great at bringing people together. I'm good at working with people. And I can be very calming, a calming spirit. I think sometimes for when people get into push and pull, I have a way sometimes of being able to bring those people together. But I'm also concerned about the money part of school because I think there's a budget of like $1.3 million in Darlington County. And from what I've been able to read and study and find out, it is probably one of the largest budgets in Darlington, South Carolina. So we've got to be very careful because this is taxpayers' money that is being used to teach our children. When I say our, I mean every child that's in the school system. So I'm very concerned about making sure that money is being spent, especially in this critical time of the pandemic, that money is being spent correctly and that every child gets an equal education. When I say that, I guess I am passionate because I think if a child lives in Society Hill, or whether that child lives in Auburn or Mechanicsville or any of the areas of Dawesville where I'm at or would be working with, they deserve that same education. In fact, I speak more broadly, I say in the state of South Carolina, every child should be allowed to get the same quality education.
Right.
May have different teachers, but our goal would be shooting to get the same quality education because there are some schools that are faring well. And that's what I desire in Darlington, to be number one, first of all.
Right. And you make some great points by saying that. Yeah. So the next question will be, what do you think need to be done to help the children education?
Well, I've heard some people say that decisions aren't made fast enough, but you're going to have to take some time during this season that we're in now and make some great decisions, not good decisions. We're going to have to make great decisions because we've got 3 or 4 different paths of learning that's taking place right now. So you've got e-learning, then you have students that are learning in school on site, and then you have students that have a partial between the two. So I think what we really have to do now is think deeply about how the kids are being affected, how the children are being affected. I myself, as a grandparent, we kept our grandson, Blake, for a week or two. And it was very hard for us because I think in South Carolina, there may be some seniors like myself that keep children every day.
Oh, yeah.
All right. They're almost like a parent. They're stepped in to take care of the children while the mother worked, maybe a single mother, or they may be raising the children themselves. It's harder than people think for those parents and those grandparents to get out and find the time to teach at home. So we've got to come up with a better way of making sure we communicate. Even teachers are being affected differently because I found in just my talks in the last few weeks with some of the constituents and some of the people that's in the area, teachers are being bombarded that teach at home with 30, 40, 60 students, and they're spending so much of their own time correcting papers. Their value of life is being simply decreased by doing what they love the most.
Right.
And that's unfair for them. And at the same time, we're asking teachers to go to school during the middle of a pandemic, and they might have their own children or elderly parent that they may be taking care of. So they're putting their life so much to say on the line for us. So it's a delicate balance. And then, of course, we have the students that are going part-time, and it's almost being jerked between two worlds where, today I got to stand up and do this, but tomorrow I'm on this computer and I'm doing this.
Right.
We're asking a lot of the school system, and you have to have people that are listening on the school board and people in place that love the students, love education, and love, the parents enough and know them to respect that their lives are being so greatly impacted during this time.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it's a very critical time right now. I mean, you have to have teachers and board members that not only want to be there for a paycheck, like they have to genuinely want to be there and help the students and be there for the parents with questions and all of that. And that goes right into my next question when I say, it's critical times. What do you see that can help the teachers and students in the classrooms during this COVID-19 virus?
I thought about that because I'm going to tell you a short story. When I went back to college, I was probably already in my late 30s, 38. So, my wife, we got married early, young, and she went back to school to get her master's, and I just generally just kept working on my job. And of course, I told you I was climbing up through the ranks, so I was making pretty good money. And then Tamara, my oldest daughter, came along, and she went to Winthrop. And before I could go back to school, Carlo came along, and she went down to the College of Charleston. And one day I looked up and I was 55 years old.
Just like that.
I don't remember too much about the rest of it, but during that time I was helping children, driving the church bus for 25 years, and not dealing with just teaching them the word of God, but teaching them how to deal with life. Here's the thing. When children trust you and trust what you're trying to do in their lives, they will share with you some of those feelings. And sometimes it was some tough things. There were times when I felt like I needed to talk to an adult in their family about what they were going through. You understand what I'm saying, right? But during that time, I found that you got to be a person who's willing to listen to everybody. We talked with a teacher the other night, and she kind of moved us and told us that they said they was giving her cleaning supplies. And she said she had one cloth to clean up after the students leave. And it's just a time where we need to get the teachers just what they need. Parents are struggling. They're buying school supplies all year when they used to, they already paid for it through the taxes. But now they're at home and they're spending money at Walmart and Sam's, and they're buying electronic devices they didn't plan on buying until Christmas.
Right.
I think one of the things we need to do is to make our schools successful. At Coker College, they had a tutoring program, and that's the part of the story I wanted to share with you. I was afraid of math. I did not do well in high school. I was not a good student in math. I was glad to get a D. But I found out that my problem that I had was because we were working and trying to help support the family in those days on the farm, and I missed a couple of days in school. I just didn't know the formulas. But Coker College had a tutoring program that I was able to attend every Sunday. And that tutor was able to do more stuff one-on-one. And one of my ideas would be to get some tutors, some of the, I would say seniors for one thing, because first of all, they're more mature.
Right.
Then they're getting out of school early, and then they need some money. But they could pay the tutors like they did. I had little summer jobs working for the school through DECA and some other programs like that when I was coming along. I think we could do that because we've got the COVID money, we've got the money that's being allocated to schools. I think we should have some tutoring programs to lessen the stress and on the teachers that are teaching at home and at school. And I think we can do some other things like step up to the plate and make sure that the teachers understand the push and what the parents are going through. There's no real place for the parents to get out there and tell them the platforms that are hurting them. So I think it's going to take a lot of communication from the school board, from the administration to the parents. And we're not only going to have to listen to them, but we're going to have to make it work. We're going to have to make it work. I found that in my life, this is my analogy, a ship can't run into another ship unless the captain is doing the guiding. The people that own the ship can't guide that ship into it. So it's the leaders and the administrators who really are accountable right now for making sure that the teachers get exactly what they need and more. And more.
That's true. Do you think the school system, I'm getting a little feedback, so I'm gonna turn my end down some. Do you think the school system is doing enough to keep the children safe with face coverings and social distancing?
Well, from what I'm going to say Darlington County Schools, from what I've seen, they have done a great job. The administration that's in the Darlington County School Board, they've done a pretty good job. They've got a graduation rate of around 93% in Darlington County. Now, we're not the best in the state, but we do boast one of the best schools in the state in Darlington, number one, and that's Mayo School for the STEM school.
Yeah.
For science and mathematics. So if we can do it at Mayo, we can do it at every school. We might not have the money, but they have the concept already in place. They already have the ideas in place, and we can do it. But it's going to take a lot of work for us to do it. We can do that.
Right. When it comes to pay, we hear a lot about that teachers do not get paid enough. What do you think about that? I know there was talk about there was going to be an increase for teachers when it comes to, pay. What do you think about that? Is it going to happen soon? Or, because you must admit, teachers, they do deserve more pay. They put up with a lot. Especially now with this pandemic going on, like you said earlier about, they got to deal with the teachers, the students in the classroom, the ones at home with the virtual learning. It's a lot.
It is. You see me smiling because I'm a number one advocate for increasing teacher pay. I believe that teachers are just like doctors. And I'm going to tell you, Carlo probably laughing now. Teachers teach the doctors.
True.
Socrates and many of the other teachers, Aristotle, they were so highly esteemed in the day. Teachers were the number one profession in the world before doctors. Teachers deserve not only more respect, but they do deserve more money. The idea that the General Assembly keeps making excuses for not increasing teacher pay and I understand them because of taxes. I can see why they're ambivalent about giving them a raise. But they knew since January what the teachers were going through, and they know what they've been doing. And if in no other year or no other season right now, they deserve not only a raise, but they deserve a raise and they deserve a bonus. And I believe that I'm a person that's willing to even fight for that on the school board, because I've always advocated for that. I was looking at something, and maybe you can see this, maybe you can't. I'm going to hold it up and see if I can show it to you. Sometimes it may have a little light on it. But it said in 1996 that I was advocating for education. I didn't think about it until today, but I started a long time, even when I was a young man, about 19 years old, fighting for teachers and staff. And I attended every school program that I could with my children. I worked rotating shift, but I would go to their programs before I went and worked 12 hours at night. And I always esteemed teachers. And to this day, if you're a teacher, you've got my vote on whatever you need to be fighting for. And I'm going to fight right along with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said something. Let me go back to the safety part, if you don't mind, briefly.
Sure.
I see the students, they're wearing masks. I'm very much believe that the school system is doing all that they can, but I believe parents are not pushing the safety like they should at times. And some seniors or students that are in high school, they may feel free, they may feel young, they may feel strong, but this pandemic is affecting people of every age. I just picked up an article and read that a baby was rushed to the hospital for COVID-19, but they was able to save her life. And that one of the officers, the SRO, that he actually did mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, but he's still negative. And that's, to me, that's a determination that they're doing all they can, even for babies. But for our children, there's no excuse why we can't follow the safety guidelines until we get to the other side of this. We need to get to the other side of this before we can even complain or be angry about whether we wear masks or not. But I think in Darlington County, from what I've seen with the children in the schools, they're doing great.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, because no one should be taking this lightly. Like COVID-19 is nothing to play around with.
No, it's serious.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, it's painful at times. I'm a teacher, and I told you I've been teaching and teaching children, and I also sing sometime at special occasions, weddings, and sometimes homegoing services. And it's been trying this year because we've lost a lot of young people and we've lost a lot of elderly people. And that means that some of the wisdom and knowledge that the things that we taught at home, respect, dignity, yes and ma'am and no ma'am. And it's okay if you out there, you saying yes or no. I don't hold that against you, but be respectful even when you say yes or no. Say it in a respectful tone. When people ask you, you can still say yes and mean it. If they ask you, if elderly person says, they used to say yes, ma'am, it doesn't hurt you to give away one free yes, ma'am, every now and then, or yes, sir.
Exactly.
It doesn't hurt.
It
may help you by humbling you, as a matter of fact, because you can't be a servant. I can't be on the school board without being a servant of the people, of the students, of the people that I'm working with, of the superintendent. I'm going to report to him. If I'm going to report to the superintendent, I'm going to serve him in the best way that I can. If I'm going to report to the teachers and that long list that I ran off to you earlier, to the janitors, I'm going to be just as respectful as I am, whether you are the superintendent or whether you're the janitor or the bus driver or the teacher, you gain my respect. You know.
Oh, let's talk about bus drivers for a second. Things going on. Well, they're going on strike, is it, or something like that, because of their pay?
I've just heard that they want more pay because they went from 17 paychecks to like 24, so they spread them out further, and then they're taking a great chance, even just students, because you got to remember some students might be asymptomatic and could pass it on to them. So They're just like first responders. What's the difference between driving an ambulance and getting paid and driving a bus
Yeah.
and getting paid? So,
Right.
and I would wish that they would not go on strike. I would wish that the bus drivers, that we could come to some consensus. If that was something that they were considering, I would like to be in place and be able to talk to them and convince them, because our children are already hurting. Let's not hurt them more. Let's come to a consensus. Let's talk about it and see if we can come to resolution to make sure that we keep the buses running, that we keep our children that are in school, in school. Because like I probably know, some parents must work.
Yeah.
They're not just taking their children to school for babysitting. If they're not at work, then they don't have the opportunity to stay at home and do schooling and teach their children school.
Right.
Many of them must work, and that includes two-parent homes also. Some of them have to work because what they already had invested in, whether it's a house or a car or home, or they're trying to hold on to that, and at the same time they want their children well educated. So, we have got to take all of this into consideration some kind of way. If we can't make it work, then we have failed a generation of students.
Right.
So it's imperative that we make it work.
Right. And what I love seeing during this pandemic, I love seeing the buses parked
Yeah.
and allowing parents to drive their kids up so that they're able to have Wi-Fi and able to do their work. I mean, I think that's awesome.
Those are the great things.
Yeah.
That I've seen. That's unimaginable. I know Senator Malloy from Hartsville, and he's working hard to get broadband in all of the rural areas. Just to give you a little heads up, I'm a rural social worker. When I finally did graduate in 2011 from Coker College, I graduated magna cum laude and gave the evening student graduation speech. Yeah, go ahead, Coker. A university now. That's how great it is.
Right.
But we can do this, and we can make it happen for the bus drivers. But I think we got to listen to them. Everybody's just trying to keep it moving. We're concerned, I guess, about making sure that the school is open. And I'm hoping it's not for political reasons. I'm hoping it's to get our children well educated.
Right.
There's some things that people don't know after teaching at college for so long, courses at Florence Darlington Tech. We are in a worldwide economic crisis, and we definitely need to make sure our students are well educated and can compete on a worldwide basis.
Right.
Yeah.
All of them, not a select few.
Everyone. Yes.
Okay. What do you mean by your statement? Let's leave our children a better world.
You could not ask a better question from a better guy. When I was growing up, all the time that I can remember, my family did a lot of farming out in Montclair community with my grandfather. And he was a sharecropper. And my other grandmother, she raised 5 daughters by herself.
Wow.
My grandfather died not long after World War II. She raised her 5 daughters. And one of the statements that I've heard all my life was, we want our children to do better. We want our children to have a better education. We want our children to live in a better world. The last few years, I have not heard that statement. And it worries me because we don't want our children to go backwards.
Right.
Some of the children now, are making less than I did in the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
They're making less money. If it wasn't for stores like probably Walmart and Target raising the minimum wage, they would probably continue to pay as least amount as they can. Now, there's a lot of reasons for I'm not condemning. Sometimes I heard that the people who own the businesses, if they paid more, they wouldn't be able to keep the businesses, and there may be some truth to part of that.
Right.
But if your business is doing well, the people who actually lay the eggs ought to sometimes get to use some of the gold. And then, of course, I found that there's a lot of employers probably who could pay more, but choose not to do it. But during this economic crisis that we are going through now and trying to get good workers, they're having to pay them anyway. So why not do it before? Why not pay good? Or if you're paying the people who work for you more, then the taxes are going to the school system, and we're getting the monies that we need to have a better school system.
Right.
So those are the type of things we really need to hit home runs on, you know.
Yeah, it's sad.
It is sad. But I believe that if our students are going to have a better world, when we realize that it's not going to be our world forever, one day, my grandchildren, Kyle, Blake, and Corian, it's going to be their world. And I don't want them to have less than I did, because in the 70s, I told you earlier, I had a great job. I was making 5 figures in the 1970s. And even though I wanted to go to school, but I also wanted my family, one of the greatest things that happened in my life when I went back at 55, when I got my degree, I can say this, and I am not bragging, but I can say it because I wanted it to happen, because it was something that in my heart, everybody in my house graduated from college. And that's a legacy that I want to pass on to my grandchildren and to the generations to come. I want them to speak back and say, Carl Goodson, my granddaddy, my great-great-grandfather, he went back to school at 55 and he graduated. My grandmama graduated, my mama graduated, and my aunt graduated. That's the legacy that I wanted to leave. And that's why I went back at 55. And people said, what are you going back to school at 55 for? They said, your working life is about over. Well, I went back and I became a social worker. And I worked for 10 years at Harvest Hope Food Bank. And I was the director, I was the supervisor over 9 counties. And that education that I received from Coker University actually opened up more doors for me in 10 years. I was making a little less money, but because I had the wisdom and the knowledge to want a better world, I was able to send my wife and my daughters to college, and they're doing great. And I love them for what they're doing, because the same passion that I have for education and for school and teaching and for people, both of them have that same passion, and they've already passed to their children. And I see it growing. I see it growing up in my grandchildren. And so everything that I could have asked God for, it's already come true. I can see it already. I see the vision. And that's the vision that I want for Darlington students. I want to leave them a better world. I don't want them to come out and be concerned about fires and floods and things, burning down in California, and worrying about the way the world is with hatred and oppression. And I don't want them to turn on the TV and see things, because we came up in a world, all we were talking about was prosperity and doing better. People were living in, building beautiful homes. And even though they were working in factories and just beginning to get the college degrees that they so richly deserved, we spent so many years moving from working in the field. As my grandfather, who was a sharecropper, he still took care of his family. He still had 8, 9 children, these families, but they still fed them. And some of the children left and got a better world by going to the military. Some of them left and moved to the city and started working in factories like I did. Some moved to New York, some moved to Philadelphia, but they all did better. But we're not going to leave our children a better world if we concentrate on ourselves and on the now. So I'm concentrating on Darlington as a school board member for District 2 for getting in there, getting my shoulder to the grind, and pushing as hard as I can to make sure that our children have a better world.
Wow, I love it. All right, Mr. Goodson, well, we're almost to the end. A lot of people have already cast their votes, but for the ones that still have not made it to the polls yet, why should they vote or write in, elect Mr. Goodson? I'm going to give you the floor right now to talk to the viewers, everyone that's listening, and just explain to them why they should elect Mr. Carl Goodson.
You know, Cornell Delane, who was a District 2 school board member, he was a great man. He was a personal friend of mine. His discipline was something that schools need. He was well disciplined. He'd been in the military, retired from the military. He worked at Billy Hardy Home for Boys, and I did my internship, and I met him. Even on that job, we worked together. And his theology was much like mine. First of all, let me say, I have been prepared all my life for a day and a time like this. God made me to lead. I've always been a leader, and I've always been a follower. Those two things coupled together make me a servant leader, and that's what I've been born to do. I'm a person that's passionate about our students and teachers. I know that I can make a difference. I work with Dr. Rainey Knight to bring Mayo High School into fruition. I was on that committee. I work with Dr. Charlie Burry over at Hartsville High School to make that IB school, international baccalaureate school. And he taught me some things that I'll probably never forget. He said we should always seek to attain for greatness, and that we should always seek to give hope. Mm-hmm. And if there's anything that I want to do during this time, I want to give hope to the parents, to the teachers, to the students, but I want to do it with excellence. I don't just want to, I'm not here to get my name in lights. I don't need it. I'm not after the money. I don't need the money because God has blessed me and my family richly. Just to be able to help somebody else. I know he only gave me money to help somebody else. I don't have to worry about prestige and power. I've never been a person who want to get in front of the camera, as they probably would tell you at Harvest Hope or at Florence Darlington Tech. I like working from the sidelines, but I like excellence. I like seeing the best in people. Because been a training instructor for so many years and a teacher at Florence Darlington Tech and working with the churches in the area, I've met people from all over, and I found out that most of us are going through the same things. And so I would love for you to vote for Carl Goodson, District 2, for school board member. I promise you that I will get out there and make things happen that's positive for the community, positive for the school. And I promise you that I will give 100%, if not more, in whatever I do. People who know me, people, even if you Google me, you'll find out that I've always been trying on the cutting edge of trying to get the right technology and the right, mindset for people. Because we can't go forward unless we go forward together. So if you vote for me, you will have somebody who's going to be lockstep with you in making sure that Darlington County School Board is going to be number one. I read that we were like down in the 16% percentile compared to the other schools. Well, I want to raise that up so
Yeah.
we can be number one or number two. And Dr. Knight had that vision, Dr. Rainey Knight, and I've held on to her vision over the years. And I know we can do it because we've done it under her. And Dr. Newman, I met him, Dr. Tim Newman, who's the superintendent now. He's a gracious person. He's a well-informed man. And I think he's willing to listen to the board members, but he's got to know that we're in his corner and in the corner of all the parents and teachers and the other personnel at the school. So if you vote for me, I will fight for you, and we will leave our children a better future.
I love it.
Well, we love you, and it's just been it's just been a great opportunity, Veronica, to be on your Tangy Tea of Life show. I love the name. Carlo kind of helped us to let us know what it was. It got the tea.
Right.
I will watch it some more because I heard that you had interviewed Orlando, and of course I told you I respect him greatly also. He's one of my former co-workers' sons. So keep doing what you're doing. We need this. We need to get forums to get out what's happening in the community. And if you can get some more of the other people on that, I think they would greatly appreciate the opportunity to just let the world know that we are here and we haven't given up on America yet, or on our school system yet, or on our students.
That's right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This was a vision of mine one day to start Tangy Tea. And I came up with the name because I'm like, okay, Tangy Tea of Life. Life isn't always sweet. Sometimes it's tangy,
Amen.
So I call it Tangy Tea of Life. And here we talk about any and everything. So I'm so blessed to have this platform where I can have guests like yourself to come on and talk about, all types of things. So I really appreciate you joining me tonight. I really do appreciate it. And you have a lot of love out there. I'm going to share some with you. Been having some comments come through. One says, Mr. Goodson, I truly think that you will be great with the school board. Let's see.
Thank you, Val.
Another one, love you, my brother Carl.
Thank you, William. Great man of God. Great man.
Servant leadership.
So true. She can attest to that.
Teach, Carl. You taught the truth. Let's see what else. Valentina Graham, yes, you can and will make a difference, Mr. Goodson. Mr. Delane was a great man.
He was. So much so.
Yes, may Jesus keep using you, Veronica. Thank you so much, William. I really appreciate that.
William is a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Very talented.
Tell Mr. Goodson I said, hey, I was in Bible study. Okay.
He was. Hey, Tori, we know where you were.
You're welcome so much, Miss Margie. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you so much. You're welcome. But yes, Mr. Goodson, thank you once again for coming on the show tonight. And for those of you who have not voted yet, please make sure you head to the polls. Early voting going on right now. Election day, November 3rd, which is next Tuesday, and it's approaching us very, very quickly. Just make sure you get out there, let your voice be heard, let your vote count. A lot of people fought for us to get out there and let our voice be heard. So we definitely need to take advantage of that. We talk about change, we talk about what we don't lack and what we do lack. And, I got this heavy country accent. So
that's all right. We're from the country. Everything is country in South Carolina is what I always say. There are no cities. Everything is country. Columbia's
Right.
country. I always say that.
But guys,
Um,
make sure you get out there and let your voice be heard. It's a very important election.
yeah,
Mr. Goodson, once again, thank you for your voice in the community. We really appreciate it.
yeah.
Guys, make sure you head to the polls. Anything else you would like to say?
Yeah, you see my name on the screen. You have to write in my name because when Cornell died, they didn't remove his name from the ballot. Um, and so you have to physically write in my name if you're from District 2. But if you're from District 2, it will automatically show on the ballot. But you have to write in and spell it right, Carl. I got an easy name and good son. I always tell people I'm not a bad son. I'm a good son. So Carl Goodson, if you could write it in, I would just appreciate it because I'm really looking forward to serving in the community, which is what I've been doing. But this is going to allow us to create a chance to work and get the ideas that we need to achieve.
Yes. So guys, make sure you do your part. Head to the polls. Do what you're supposed to do. Once again, like Mr. Goodson said, you have to write in his name. All right. So you just can't go and select straight Democrat or straight Republican. You have to write his name in.
Yeah.
All right. Carl Goodson. Once again, Mr. Goodson, thank you so much for joining tonight. I really appreciate it. Guys, please thumbs up my Tangy Tea page. My co-host Tawan is not with us tonight, but I do have a co-host, Tawan. You all probably know Tawan. But thumbs up the Tangy Tea page. Also, we're live on YouTube. Make sure you head over there and support our YouTube platform as well, Tangy Tea of Life. And once again, get out there and vote. All right. You talk about change, get out there and vote. We don't want to hear you complaining November 4th, all right? So get out there and do your part. Any last words, Mr. Goodson?
No, we love y'all, Darlington District 2 and all of the rest of the school board. We love you.
Thank you guys so much for watching tonight.
Thank you.
We'll talk with you later. God bless you all. Bye.
Have a drink of my tea.
That's right. Sip on some tea.
Thank you.